Emily Hayes had always been the type to blend into the background of Willow Creek Estates, that picture-perfect slice of suburban America where every lawn was manicured to military precision and every mailbox matched like soldiers on parade. The kind of place where the Homeowners Association ruled with an iron fist disguised as a velvet glove, enforcing rules that made sense only to those who wrote them. Emily, a 34-year-old software engineer working from her modest two-story colonial, had bought her home 5 years ago, thinking it was a fresh start after a messy divorce. Quiet, unassuming, with a sharp mind hidden behind oversized glasses and a wardrobe of sensible cardigans, she kept to herself, tending a small vegetable garden in her backyard that produced just enough tomatoes to make her feel self-sufficient. But in Willow Creek, self-sufficiency was suspect. The HOA, led by Victoria Langford, the quintessential Karen with her perfectly coiffed blonde bob, pearl earrings, and an unshakable belief that her taste was law, saw Emily's garden as a blight on the community's aesthetic integrity. Victoria, a 52-year-old real estate agent who'd clawed her way to HOA president through a mix of backroom whispers and selective enforcement, patrolled the streets in her white SUV like a shark circling chum. "Darling, those tomatoes are just so rustic," she'd say with a smile that never reached her eyes, handing out violation notices like candy at Halloween. Emily's first infraction came innocently enough. A single zucchini vine had dared to creep over the fence line, visible from the street if you squinted hard enough. The notice arrived in her mailbox, typed in bold Arial font. Unauthorized vegetation encroaching on public view. Fine, $50. Correct within 7 days. Emily sighed, pruned the vine, and paid up, chalking it up to overzealous bureaucracy. But Victoria smelled blood. "You know, Emily, we all have to do our part to maintain property values." Victoria cooed to the next HOA meeting, her voice dripping with false concern as she projected a photo of Emily's garden onto the community center screen. The room, filled with nodding neighbors who'd long ago surrendered their spines to Victoria's regime, murmured agreement. Emily sat in the back row, cheeks burning, saying nothing. She knew arguing would only paint her as difficult. That night, as she weeded her garden under the glow of her porch light, Emily's mind raced. Why fight a system designed to crush the little guy? Better to observe, to wait. Little did Victoria know, Emily's silence wasn't submission, it was strategy. Over the next few months, the violations piled up like autumn leaves. A bird feeder deemed unsightly, solar lights that disrupted the neighborhood's ambient glow. Even her welcome mat, with its cheerful home, sweet home script, violated the approved color palette. Each fine chipped away at Emily's savings. But more insidious was the social isolation. Neighbors who'd once waved now averted their eyes, whispering about that troublemaker on Elm Street. Victoria masterminded it all, turning HOA meetings into her personal theater. "We must protect our community's harmony," she'd declare, while selectively ignoring her own son's unregistered dirt by tearing up the common areas. Emily endured it, documenting every notice, every snub, in an encrypted file on her laptop. Her job in tech had taught her patience. Code didn't debug itself overnight. One crisp autumn evening, as Emily sipped tea on her porch, Victoria pulled up in her SUV, clipboard in hand. "Emily, dear, we've had complaints about your recycling bins being visible from the curb. The fine, $100. Emily nodded politely, but inside, something crystallized. This wasn't about rules. It was about power. Victoria thrived on making others small to feel big. That night, Emily didn't sleep. Instead, she researched HOA bylaws, state laws, proxy voting, the arcane mechanics of suburban governance. Willow Creek's HOA allowed members to vote by proxy, and with 200 homes, control hinged on turnout. Victoria's board was a rubber stamp cabal of her cronies, re-elected yearly because no one bothered to challenge her. Emily saw the flaw. Apathy was Victoria's greatest ally. But what if someone weaponized engagement? The next day, Emily started small. She created an anonymous online forum for Willow Creek residents, disguised as a neighborhood swap meet. Trade your extra zucchini for tips on compliant landscaping, the tagline read. It was bait and they bit. Soon, threads filled with gripes. Why can't we have holiday lights past December 31st? Victoria's pool parties are louder than my kids' playdates. Hypocrisy much? Emily moderated anonymously, fanning flames subtly. Interesting point. Has anyone checked the bylaws on noise ordinances? She wasn't leading a revolution. She was planting seeds. Meanwhile, Victoria escalated. At the winter HOA meeting, she proposed a new rule. Mandatory approval for all exterior paint colors, retroactive. To ensure uniformity, she beamed. Emily raised her hand from the back. What about cost burdens on fixed-income residents? Victoria's smile tightened. Progress requires sacrifice, Emily. Perhaps if you followed rules better, you'd understand. The room tittered. Emily sat down, but noted who avoided eye contact, the silent dissenters. That night, an anonymous tip appeared on the forum. Victoria's husband had been cited for unlicensed contracting work on their home extension. Proof attached, public records. The forum exploded. Victoria dismissed it as fake news in her next newsletter, but the damage was done. Cracks appeared in her facade. Emily smiled into her screen. The game was afoot. As spring bloomed, so did Emily's plan. She began buying proxies, not overtly, but through careful outreach. Posing as a concerned resident via email from a burner account, she offered to collect votes for busy neighbors. Let me handle the paperwork. You just sign. Trust built slowly, but the forum's revelations helped. Victoria's overreaches, finding a widow for faded shutters, ignoring her own overgrown hedges, fueled resentment. Emily's day job funded the next phase. She formed a LLC, Harmony Holdings, ambiguous and untraceable. Through it, she started purchasing homes, quietly hitting the market. Willow Creek's turnover was low, but economic wobbles meant a few foreclosures. Emily snapped up 3 properties in 6 months, renting them to vetted tenants who shared her views. Each home meant more votes. Victoria, oblivious, focused on her pet projects, a beautification fund that suspiciously benefited her landscaping business cronies. At the summer barbecue, mandatory attendance, of course, Victoria cornered Emily by the potato salad. I hear you've been stirring trouble online. Careful, dear. We have rules against defamation. Emily blinked innocently. Me? I just grow tomatoes. Victoria's eyes narrowed, but she moved on, laughing too loudly with her board. Emily noted the sweat on her upper lip. The predator sensed prey, but couldn't see the trap. By fall, Emily controlled proxies for 40 homes, plus her 3 properties. Total, enough to swing any vote. She kept it hidden, waiting for the annual election. Victoria announced her re-election campaign with fanfare, continuing our legacy of excellence. Her platform: stricter fines, more surveillance cams. For safety, she claimed, while her own backyard hosted unpermitted fire pits. Emily entered the race anonymously at first, then revealed herself at the candidate forum. I'm Emily Hayes, and I believe in fair rules, not favoritism. The room buzzed. Victoria's response? A smear campaign via neighborhood whispers. She's the one with all those violations. Unstable after her divorce. Emily let it slide, responding with facts on the forum. Let's discuss policies, not personal lives. Support swelled quietly. Neighbors slipped notes under her door. You've got my proxy. The election loomed like storm clouds. Victoria pulled strings, disqualifying a few proxies on technicalities. But Emily had backups. The night before, Victoria emailed the community. Vote for stability. Vote Langford. Emily replied, all. Accidentally. Of course, stability shouldn't mean stagnation. Chaos ensued. At the meeting, votes tallied. Victoria 85, Emily 115. The room gasped. Victoria demanded a recount, face purpling. This is rigged. Emily stood calmly. Actually, Victoria, let's talk about rigging. She projected documents, evidence of Victoria's self-dealing, forged minutes, embezzled fund from the beautification pot. I've been watching and documenting. Victoria sputtered. You can't prove, but the crowd turned. Shouts of resign echoed. Emily's voice cut through. The bylaws allow for immediate removal on ethics violations. The vote was unanimous. Victoria stormed out, but not before hissing, "This isn't over." Emily smiled. Oh, but it was just beginning. In the aftermath, Emily reformed the HOA. Reasonable rules, transparent finances, community input. Neighbors breathed easier. Gardens flourished without fear. Victoria sold her house in disgrace, moving to a condo with, irony of ironies, an even stricter association. Emily sat on her porch, tomato in hand, savoring the sweet taste of justice served slow and cold. The sun dipped low over Willow Creek estates, casting long shadows across lawns, so uniform they looked like they'd been stamped from a factory mold. Emily Hayes pulled into her driveway, her sensible hybrid humming quietly, and glanced at the mailbox. Another notice, no doubt. She sighed, adjusting her glasses, and retrieved the envelope. Violation, non-approved holiday decorations. Fine, $75. It was October 15th, and her single pumpkin on the stoop was apparently too garish. Emily crumpled the paper, her mind flashing to Victoria Langford's house down the block, bedecked with flashing lights year-round for security purposes. Hypocrisy wrapped in holiday cheer. Inside, Emily booted up her laptop, logging into the anonymous forum she'd created months ago. Post poured in, HOA find me for my kid's bike in the driveway. Meanwhile, Victoria's dog poops everywhere. Emily typed, has anyone reviewed the pet waste policy? Section 4.2 seems selectively enforced. She hit post, leaning back with a grim smile. This was her rebellion, not loud protests, but quiet erosion. Victoria's reign had started innocently, elected on promises of community enhancement. But power corrupted, and now she ruled like a suburban dictator, her board an echo chamber of yes men. Emily had seen it build. First, the paint color mandates, then the landscaping approvals, now dictating trash placements. For property values, Victoria always said, as if her real estate commissions weren't tied to them. The next day at work, Emily's boss noticed her distraction. Everything okay? She nodded, but inside, the fines were adding up, $300 this quarter alone. It wasn't just money, it was the constant surveillance, the feeling of being watched, judged. That evening, Emily attended the HOA meeting, slipping into a back seat. Victoria held court at the podium, her pearl necklace gleaming under fluorescent lights. Item 1. Proposal for mandatory lawn fertilization schedules. To ensure verdant uniformity. Hand shot up, mostly her cronies. Emily waited, then spoke softly. What about environmental impact? Chemical runoff into the creek. Victoria's eyes locked on her, smile sharp as a knife. Emily, always the eco-warrior. But rules are rules. Motion passes. Applause from the front, murmurs from the back. After, Victoria approached. You know, dissent breeds discord. Perhaps focus on compliance. Emily met her gaze. Or perhaps on fairness. Victoria laughed, patronizing. Sweetie, life's not fair. That night, Emily expanded her files. Photos of Victoria's violations, timestamps, witnesses. The forum grew, 50 members now. Anonymous tips trickled in. Victoria's undeclared home business, her board's conflicts of interest. Emily cross-referenced with public records. It was tedious, but satisfying. Like debugging code, finding the bugs in Victoria's perfect system. Winter brought snow, and with it, new absurdities. Shoveling deadlines. Paths clear within 2 hours of snowfall cessation. Emily complied, but noted Victoria's driveway, plowed by an unapproved service. She posted anonymously. Equity in enforcement? Replies flooded. No, just for the elite. Emily's LLC, Harmony Holdings, made its first move. A house for sale on Oak Lane. She bought it cash, through intermediaries. Rented to a young family tired of apartments, with one condition: proxy voting rights. Just in case, she said vaguely. They agreed, grateful for the below-market rent. Victoria hosted a holiday party. Invitation only, of course. Emily wasn't invited, but heard the noise, complaints ignored. She drove by, snapping photos of overflowing parking, unpermitted tents. Added to the dossier. Spring thawed the ground, and Emily's garden. She planted carefully, within rules, but pushed boundaries with heirloom varieties. Victoria noticed immediately. Those beans look invasive. Fine, $50 for potential overgrowth. Emily paid, but used the forum to rally. Who's tired of veggie policing? Polls showed 60% dissatisfaction. Emily bought a second property, a fixer-upper on Maple. Renovated minimally, rented to retirees who'd grumbled about Victoria's ageist bench removal, loitering risk. Proxies secured. Victoria's paranoia grew. At the April meeting, she proposed community watch volunteers, her spies, essentially, to maintain standards. Emily objected. Sounds like invasion of privacy. Victoria snapped. If you've nothing to hide. The vote passed narrowly. But Emily tallied the nays. 45, her silent allies. Summer heat waves brought watering restrictions, except for Victoria's pool, refilled weekly. Forum outrage peaked. Emily orchestrated a petition drive, anonymous. 70 signatures for rule review. Victoria quashed it. Improper format. But the seed was planted. Emily's third property, a townhome on Birch. Rented to a single dad, ex-military, fed up with arbitrary fines. Count me in for whatever, he said. Harmony Holdings now controlled 4% of votes directly, proxies pushing 20%. Victoria announced her legacy initiative, a statue in the park, funded by increased dues. To commemorate our standards. Our roles abounded. At the barbecue, Victoria toasted. To Willow Creek, the envy of suburbs. Emily mingled, whispering to dissenters. Imagine if we had real choice. Nods, contacts exchanged. The forum hit 100 members. Leaks appeared. Victoria's embezzlement suspicions, padded expense reports. She blamed hackers, but eyes turned suspicious. Emily sat on her porch, sipping lemonade, watching Victoria's SUV cruise by slowly. The hunter becoming hunted. Fall elections approached. Emily declared candidacy subtly, via email blast. For transparent, fair governance. Victoria's response, a newsletter smear. Opponent has history of noncompliance. Vote experience. Emily countered with facts. Let's debate ideas, not infractions. Support emails poured in. Victoria pulled dirty tricks, lost proxies, forgotten meeting notices. But Emily had duplicates, lawyers on retainer. The night before the vote, Victoria hosted a supporter dinner. Emily crashed politely. Just observing democracy. Victoria's smile cracked. You'll lose, dear. Emily shrugged. We'll see. Election day. Tension thick as fog. Votes counted publicly. Victoria led early, but proxies tipped it. Final. Emily won 12, Victoria 88. Gasps. Victoria shrieked. Fraud. Emily stood. Actually, let's audit everything. Projector on. Evidence montage. Self-dealing, forgeries, kickbacks. Resign or face charges. The room erupted. Victoria fled, but the vote removed her. Emily's first act, dissolve unnecessary rules. Neighbors cheered. Victoria listed her house, moving to a gated community with ironclad HOA, poetic justice. Emily's garden bloomed freely. Revenge, suburban style, slow, steady, satisfying. Emily's victory speech was understated, delivered in the community center with the poise of someone who'd waited years for this moment. Willow Creek deserves better than arbitrary tyranny, she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. The crowd, a mix of relieved neighbors and shell-shocked Victoria loyalists, applauded unevenly. In the front row, Mr. Jenkins, the retiree from Maple, winked. His proxy had been crucial. Victoria wasn't there. She'd stormed out mid-count, her heels clicking like gunfire on the linoleum. But her absence spoke volumes. Emily knew it wasn't over. Karens like Victoria didn't fade quietly. That night, as Emily locked up the center, her phone buzzed. Anonymous text. "You'll regret this." She screenshot it, added to her ever-growing file. Paranoia? Perhaps, but preparation had gotten her this far. The next morning, the neighborhood newsletter, still under Victoria's control until handover, arrived in inboxes. Election irregularities. Call for recount. It accused Emily of proxy tampering, vote buying. This upstart thinks she can uproot our traditions. Emily laughed darkly over coffee. Traditions like fining kids for chalk drawings? She responded publicly. Audits welcome. Transparency is my platform. Support comments flooded the forum. Victoria's smear backfired. More neighbors shared stories of her abuses. She fined me $200 for a bird bath. Ignored my roof leak complaints while her house got priority repairs. Emily coordinated. Submit evidence for the transition committee. The dossier swelled. Victoria's next move, a lawsuit threat, delivered via her lawyer crony. Cease and desist defamatory statements. Emily's response, through her own attorney, pro bono from a forum contact, bring it. Discovery will be enlightening. Bluff called. The threat vanished. But Victoria rallied her inner circle, hosting strategy sessions at her house. Emily's tenant on Oak reported cars parked late. Whispers of taking back control. Emily installed discreet cams on her properties. Legal, of course, for security. Footage captured Victoria's husband sneaking flyers into mailboxes. Recall Emily Hayes, restore order. Charming. Winter set in, blanketing Willow Creek in snow that Victoria once fined for uneven shoveling. Emily's board, diverse, elected fairly, passed reforms, flexible deadlines, hardship waivers. Dues dropped 10%. Surplus funded park benches, with no age restrictions. Grumbles from old guard, but approval ratings soared. Victoria seethed, her real estate signs popping up more frequently. Thinking of selling? Call Victoria, expert in premium communities. Ironic, given her sinking ship. Emily bought another property quietly. The fourth, a corner lot on Pine. Rented to a teacher weary of Victoria's school supply drive schemes. Proxy's now at 30%. The forum evolved into an official app, Emily's tech skills shining. Real-time polls, violation reporting. Anonymous tips encouraged. One came in. Victoria's unreported pool heater violating energy codes. Emily verified, reported to the city. Not HOA, but municipal. Fine, $500. Petty? Perhaps, but sauce for the goose. Victoria retaliated with a neighborhood petition. No confidence in new leadership. She door-knocked, smile plastered. Emily's changes are chaotic. Remember the good old days? Most doors slammed. At Mrs. Patel's, Victoria pushed. Sign, rear Diwali lights might be next. Mrs. Patel recorded it, posted to the app. Outrage. Emily addressed it at the emergency meeting. Intimidation has no place here. Vote to censure Victoria. Unanimous. Her face, via Zoom, she boycotted, twisted in fury. This is a witch hunt. Emily, no, just accountability. Spring brought blooms and Victoria's desperation. She announced a shadow board on social media, claiming legitimacy. True Willow Creek patriots. Followers, her 5 cronies. Laughable, but dangerous, dividing the community. Emily countered with town halls. Let's discuss concerns openly. Turnout high. Complaints aired. Solutions brainstormed. Victoria crashed one, mic in hand. This amateur is destroying our values. Emily, values like selective enforcement? Debate ensued. Victoria's arguments unraveling under facts. Your fines funded nothing but your ego. Crowd booed. Victoria fled again. Emily's fifth property, a duplex on Cedar. Dual votes. Harmony Holdings at 6%. Summer barbecues, now voluntary, fostered unity. Victoria's alternative picnic drew 12 people, mostly complaining about lax standards. Photos showed her own unkempt grill. Hypocrisy gold. The app buzzed with memes. Victoria as a crumbling statue. Dark humor, but cathartic. Emily's plan peaked. She discovered Victoria's embezzlement proof. Checks to her business from HOA funds. Audited by a neutral CPA, forum source. Irrefutable. At the July meeting, Emily presented. Former president misappropriated $15,000. Gasps. Victoria, present for drama, lies. But documents don't lie. Police report filed. Victoria's arrest made local news. HOA president charged with theft. Her mugshot, Bob disheveled, went viral in suburb groups. Schadenfreude sweet. Victoria bailed out, house for sale. Motivated seller. Emily considered buying it, twist the knife, but refrained. Enough. Fall elections. Emily re-elected unopposed. Reform solidified. Term limits, ethics codes. Willow Creek transformed, gardens diverse. Kids played freely, community thrived. Victoria moved to Eagle's Nest, a ultra-strict gated community. Word came back, fine for her own pearl earrings clashing with dress code. Karma. Emily on her porch, harvesting tomatoes, reflected. From violated victim to victorious visionary. The system that crushed her, she crushed back, with patience, proxies, proof. Neighbors waved genuinely now. Thanks, Emily. She nodded. Justice wasn't loud, it was relentless. But oh, the satisfaction when the mighty fell. With Victoria gone, Willow Creek exhaled like it had been holding its breath for years. Emily walked the streets, noting changes. A rainbow flag here, a whimsical gnome there. Small rebellions against former uniformity. Her phone pinged constantly, app notifications, thank yous from neighbors. Finally painted my door red. No fine. She smiled, but vigilance remained. Power vacuums attract vultures, and Victoria's cronies lingered, whispering dissent. At the first post-Victoria board meeting, Emily outlined priorities, budget transparency, rule simplifications. Board member Harold, a Victoria holdover, grumbled. Standards will slip. Emily, standards should serve people, not vice versa. Vote passed. Harold resigned shortly after, citing irreconcilable differences. Good riddance. Winter holidays approached, sans mandates. Neighbors decorated freely, lights, inflatables, menorahs. Emily's porch sported a simple wreath. Peaceful. But then, a forum post, Victoria spotted at Eagle's Nest HOA meeting. Plotting comeback. Emily investigated. Public minutes showed her running for their board. Amusing but irrelevant. Or so she thought. A week later, anonymous emails hit inboxes. Emily Hayes, fraud exposed. Attachments, doctored proxies, alleged bribes. Victoria's handiwork, style unmistakable. Emily traced the IP, Eagle's Nest public Wi-Fi. Sloppy. She addressed it publicly. Fabrications won't undo facts. Legal action pending. Cease and desist sent. Victoria's response, social media rant. Willow Creek stolen by deceit. Followers dwindling. Spring cleanup volunteer day, Emily led, gloves on, planting community garden beds. Grow what you want. Turnout huge. Midway, a reporter approached. Story on your HOA revolution? Emily demurred. Just neighbors helping neighbors. Article ran. From tyranny to harmony. Willow Creek's turnaround. Victoria commented online. Propaganda. Eye rolls ensued. Emily's sixth property. A bungalow on Willow. Rented to artists, proxies in pocket. Harmony at 8%. Summer brought heat in Victoria's trial. Emily testified. Embezzlement details. Victoria glared daggers. Convicted. Probation. Restitution. Her real estate license suspended. Schadenfreude peaked when Eagle's Nest ousted her for conduct unbecoming. Homeless in suburbia. Victoria sold to a flipper, slinking to a rental. Emily heard through grapevine. Fined for unauthorized doormat. Delicious. Fall reflections. Emily's journey from outcast to leader. But satisfaction came from community, barbecues, book clubs, unbound by fear. One evening a knock. Harold, sheepish. I was wrong. Victoria manipulated us. Emily, water under the bridge. Join the garden committee. He nodded. Redemption arts for all, except Victoria. She emailed Emily. You ruined me. Reply. You ruined yourself. Blocked. Willow Creek flourished. A satire on suburban excess turned utopia. Emily's garden yielded bounties, shared freely. Revenge complete, but the real win, freedom. Emily's inbox overflowed with gratitude after the article. You saved our neighborhood. But she knew heroes were targets. Victoria's silence post-trial was suspicious. Emily upped security, app mods, proxy verifications. Winter festivities lit up the streets, a far cry from Victoria's tasteful white lights-only decree. Emily hosted a potluck, laughter echoing. Harold attended, awkward but welcome. Victoria called me last night, begging for dirt on you. Emily raised an eyebrow and told her to pound sand. Loyalty earned. Spring rains revealed leaks in the community center roof. Victoria's beautification had skimped on maintenance. Emily allocated funds properly, no kickbacks. Volunteers fixed it, bonding over hammers and coffee. Victoria's new tactic, online trolls. Fake accounts posted. Emily's HOA worse than before. Secret finds. Emily debunked with transparency reports. Trolls exposed as Victoria's IP. Lawsuit filed for harassment. Victoria settled out of court, paying Emily's legal fees. Irony. Summer pool parties, now inclusive. Emily swam laps, overhearing kids splash without fear of excessive noise citations. Her seventh property, villa on Creekview. Luxury, rented to execs. Vote solid. Harmony at 10%. Victoria's downfall complete when her probation violation hit news, attempting to start a consulting firm for HOAs, breaching terms. Back to court. Emily watched from afar, tomato salad in hand. Satisfaction bubbled like dark comedy. The Karen who ruled with rules, ruled by them. Fall Harvest Festival. Booths, games, no mandatory dues. Victoria crashed, disheveled. This is my community. Security volunteer escorted her out. Trespassing. Emily approached. Move on, Victoria. Her eyes blazed. You think you're better? Emily. I think I'm fair. Victoria left, defeated. Willow Creek's transformation. From controlled to communal. Emily's legacy. Patience pays. Gardens grew wild. Kids played. Neighbors connected. The ultimate sham beam. The tyrant toppled by the tolerated. Emily on her porch, sunset glowing, raised a glass. To justice, slow brewed and savory. As the leaves turned in Willow Creek, Emily reflected on the year's triumphs. The app had become a model for other neighborhoods, with requests for code shares. How did you flip your HOA? She'd reply. Patience and proof. But Victoria's ghost lingered in small ways, a loyalist grumbling at meetings, a stray flyer. Emily quashed them with facts. Winter brought a proposal from a developer, buy out properties for condos. Emily rallied opposition. Preserve our community. Vote no. Harold praised. Victoria would have taken a kickback. Not. Spring blooms coincided with Victoria's final humiliation, bankruptcy filing. Assets liquidated, including her SUV. Seen driving a beater. Dark humor in the forum. Karen downgraded to compact. Emily chuckled, but pity flickered briefly. Power corrupts, but its loss destroys. Summer heat waves tested new watering rules, equitable, based on need. No favorites. Emily's eighth property, cottage on Lane End. Rented to families. Harmony at 12%. Control secure. Victoria's attempt at a tell-all book flopped. My HOA Nightmare self-published, reviewed as delusional rant. Excerpts mocked online. Emily bought a copy for the laugh. Fall elections. Emily stepped down, term limits enforced. Successor trained. Legacy intact. Victoria emailed one last time. Admit it, you envied me. Reply, I pitied you. End. Willow Creek thrived, a beacon of balanced governance. Emily's garden, now community shared, symbolized growth from oppression. The satire. Karen's fall hardest when hoisted by their own rules. Satisfaction eternal. Emily's decision to step down was deliberate, a cham beam on power clingers like Victoria. Leadership is service, not throne. The new president, Mrs. Patel, promised continuity. Transition smooth. Winter holidays free, diverse. Emily hosted Orphans Gift Drive. No Victoria-style photo ops. Pure goodwill. Spring audit revealed more Victoria misdeeds, hidden accounts. Restitution to residents, $50 rebates. Cheers. Victoria's book tour, one library event, bombed, heckled by ex-neighbors. Hypocrite, she fled. Summer barbecues inclusive. Emily grilled veggies from her garden, sharing stories. Remember when tomatoes were illegal? Laughter. Ninth property, townhouse on hill. Harmony at 14%. Security. Fall harvest, abundance. Emily's porch talks became legend. How to spot a Karen, clipboard and condescension. Dark jokes landed. Victoria sighted at a distant suburb, starting over. Fine for lawn ornaments. Cycle continues, but not here. Emily's remake complete, from victim to victor, with humor black as night soil. The cycle of seasons in Willow Creek now marked progress, not fear. Emily, retired from board but active in committees, watched the community flourish. Gardens varied, homes personalized, kids' laughter unbound. The app evolved, AI assisted for fair dispute resolution, Emily's tech touch. Winter snowman contests replaced fines. Spring plant swaps. Summer splash days. Fall bonfires. No Karens needed. Victoria's name faded to cautionary tale. Don't pull a Langford. Rumors of her in a trailer park. HOA less. Poetic. Emily's 10th property. Final. Sealing majority if needed. But peace reigned. One evening, a letter. Victoria's apology? No. Lawsuit dismissal confirmation. Closure. Emily burned in her fire pit. Legal, unpermitted no more. The flames danced, mirroring her inner ha-he. From BOI no to boss, the arc bent toward justice. Society's cham beam. Suburban control freaks undone by the controlled. Laughter in fury. Satisfaction in reversal. Willow Creek, remade. Malie's life post-revolution was quiet triumph. Mornings coding, afternoons gardening, evenings forum moderating. Neighbors became friends. You changed everything. She deflected. We did. Winter brought reflective walks, snow crunching. Remembering first fine, Victoria's smirk. Now, smirks at memories. Spring renewal, community orchard planted. Victoria's statue site repurposed. Summer festivals, music, food, no dues. Fall Thanksgiving potluck, ironic echo of origin story, but grateful. Emily toasted to fair play. Cheers. Victoria's endgame, spotted clerking at a hardware store, advising on compliant paint. Demoted from dictator. Darkly funny. Emily's holdings, discreet for stability.